Hi, guys. Good morning to each and every one of you. I hope you are all feeling well rested and ready to go. Yes, it is Monday after Thanksgiving, and I'm sure you're all just as full as I am, but we have reason to be happy. Or rather, a select few of us do. Before you assume, no, it is not due to Cyber Monday, which I always forget about. I'm more of an East Bay magazine shopper anyways. No, it officially means that we Christmas geeks get to start putting up decorations without ridicule, for the most part. You bet your bottom dollar I've already begun. 12 hours ago, I was neck deep in the tangle of lights, and I loved it. I know there are plenty of you on the same page as me, and we just can't let the neighborhood bores bring us down, right? In honor of the beginning of the holiday season, we will be covering a Christmas Eve massacre today. It's surprising the amount of killings or multiple homicides that occur during the holiday season. I mean, it's meant the holidays are all about love and family and friends, or supposed to be at least. The first site I clicked on alone, Investigation Discovery, had an article with 11 Christmas murders or massacres. And as I plummeted down the Google hole, they just kept coming and coming. I found another 8 or so from a few European countries too, including this gem. Quote, a murder so sick and twisted, it would disgust even Halloween. Christy Bamu was just 15 when he was tortured and drowned in a bath by his own sister and her twisted boyfriend Eric Bakubi. It was Christmas Day 2010 when the couple finally killed poor Christy after a sustained and brutal 4-day torture session at their flat in Newham, London. When his body was found, more than 130 separate injuries were counted. The 20-something couple's excuse? They believed that her younger brother was a witch. Eric was ordered to serve at least 30 years in prison, while his older sister received a minimum of 25 years for the unimaginably horrific killing. End quote. I mean, that alone is surprising. Only 25 years for a 4-day torture session with your younger brother and then killing him? All I'm trying to say is wild Christmas murders aplenty. And that's without even mentioning the ridiculously famous unsolved murder of John Benet Ramsey. And until someone officially cracks the case, I will continue to believe the parents were involved to some degree, at least one of them. Now, I won't be doing a themed episode every week leading up to the holidays. That would be a bit of overkill, but I thought we could sprinkle in a few here and there, starting now. Today, I bring you the Carnation family murders. 3 generations of one family killed on a single day. My name is Eli, and this is Murder in the Morning. My sources for today come from the Seattle Times, an All That's Interesting article, Murderpedia, NBCnews.com, and, of course, Wikipedia. Okay. It's Christmas Eve, 2007, 25 miles east of Seattle, Washington, in a small town named Carnation. Wayne Scott Anderson, a 60-year-old Boeing engineer, and his wife Judy, a 61-year-old postal worker, were at home preparing for a holiday evening with family. Wayne was prepping dinner in the kitchen while Judy wrapped Christmas presents in a nearby room. You can almost put yourself there. Roast dinner, wafting in from the kitchen, freshly fallen pine needles off the tree, soothing holiday music, and if you're lucky, a wonderful crackling fire in the background. However, this piece would be cut horrifically short. Sometime before dinner, 2 of their guests arrived early. Wayne and Judy's daughter, Michelle Anderson, 29, and her boyfriend, Joseph Thomas McEnroe, also 29. Both entered the house and greeted her parents accordingly. Joseph proceeded to distract Judy by helping her with the gift wrapping. In the meantime, Michelle pulled a gun and attempted to shoot her father. But the gun was loaded improperly and jammed. Joseph realized that Michelle couldn't finish her part, pulled his own weapon out, and shot Wayne and then Judy, killing them instantly. The pair dragged her now deceased parents outside to hide them and proceeded to deep clean the house quickly before any other guests arrived that evening. I'm talking hands and knees on the floor, Cinderella-style scrubbing session. And then they waited. These weirdos sat in this now clean house after brutally murdering 2 people and waited for more unsuspecting victims. And Michelle, she knew exactly who would turn up that night. Scott Anderson, Michelle's brother, his wife Erica, and their 2 children, Olivia, who was 5, and Nathan, who was only 3 at the time. I will warn you, if you haven't guessed already, what happens next is pretty disturbing. Heads up. Quote, once the family arrived, Michelle Anderson shot her brother several times, killing him. Joseph and Michelle then shot Erica Anderson. Wounded, she managed to get to the home's cordless phone and dialed 911. The connection only lasted a few seconds, and dispatchers heard what sounded to them like people arguing at a party. Joseph was able to grab the phone from her, tore the batteries out of the receiver, and smashed it on the floor. Joseph then delivered the fatal shot to Erica. He then proceeded to shoot and kill the children, 5-year-old Olivia and 3-year-old Nathan. Michelle requested this because they didn't want witnesses, and she said the children would be scarred for life, having seen their parents killed. No shit. Police were dispatched to the scene in response to the 911 call, but the gate to the property was locked, and the officers decided not to investigate further. The gate was only locked because Michelle Anderson had run out to lock it after she after she realized Erica's 911 call went through. The bodies were discovered 2 days later on December 26th, when Judy's best friend and coworker, Linda, went to the home to see why she was absent from work. She looked into the window and saw bodies on the floor, so she called 911. Initially, she thought she was looking at the bodies of Wayne and Judy, but they turned out to be Scott and Erica's bodies. While King County detectives were at the property in response to the 911 call, McEnroe and Michelle Anderson drove up and were brought in for questioning. End quote. Simply shocking. Okay, a few things. I realize that these 2 would be suspects anyways, being survivors of the family, but when they approached the crime scene, it could not have been more suspicious. According to All That's Interesting, Anderson and Joseph returned to the property while police were conducting their investigation. They prompted the investigators' suspicion when they failed to ask about the family's welfare or even why there were so many police at the house. Like, this was just a regular, everyday occurrence to them. Also, on another note, if they really wanted to, Joseph and Michelle could have hidden the kids from seeing their mom and dad murdered, just like they separated Michelle's parents before executing them. I knew she was just itching to find a reason to end their lives as well. Lastly, here, other sources have differing accounts of the 911 call made by Erica, as well as her final moments. According to the Seattle Times, Erica could be heard shouting, "No, not the kids!" before Anderson killed her, her 5-year-old daughter, and then her 3-year-old son. That would scar me for life if I heard that over the phone. Plus, if so, why would the police not investigate any further, knowing kids had been involved in the situation, if they did hear that? Another source offers an even sadder ending. Quote, Joseph McEnroe, according to court documents, allowed Erica to huddle with her children before he shot her in the head. McEnroe made sure to mention that he apologized to Erica after she pleaded with him not to shoot her, saying, "You don't have to do this." According to the court papers, McEnroe recalled how he looked at her and said, "Yes, we do." Joseph shot 5-year-old Olivia in the head at very close range. Then he turned to 3-year-old Nathan Anderson, the last survivor in the home. The boy had picked up the batteries McEnroe had torn from the phone and held them up in one hand. Joseph told detectives he looked at Joseph with complete comprehension, as if he understood. I want to think that's not how it happened, but I'm sure a man of Joe's intelligence would not be able to come up with a story that heartbreaking. So it's sad to say, but I might believe that version. Okay, now in custody, both Joseph and Michelle separately confessed to the murders on December 26th, shortly after their arrest, just 2 days. They were each charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder. This didn't surprise investigators, but what did surprise them was the motive, or lack thereof. What could possibly push a 29-year-old woman and her boyfriend to brutally murder 6 family members, including a niece and a nephew? Quote, Anderson had planned the Christmas murders for weeks. She claimed that she was driven to kill because her brother had allegedly failed to pay back a $40,000 loan. Not only had her parents allegedly taken his side, but they also asked her to start paying rent for the mobile home she kept on their property. End quote. A mere $40,000 and a plea to pay rent. That's all it took for Michelle to plan and carry out 6 insane murders. Obviously, there has to be much more going on underneath the surface in that head of hers. But this is the reason she gave investigators $40,000. Shame. And it's like how if you kill him, you're never going to get your money back. So now you're just double dumb. Michelle. All right, before we continue to the trial and sentencing, let's explore a bit of Michelle and Joseph's history. Having met online 5 years ago, Joseph almost immediately moved to Washington, dead set on marrying Michelle, which is all fine and dandy, but that's where the cuteness ends. Just that. That's all. According to Natalie Singer of the Seattle Times, former neighbors, classmates, and family members have painted a picture of the suspects as a paranoid couple who blacked out their windows and spoke of people out to get them. Family friend Mark Bennett said that Michelle had been somewhat estranged from her family members, including a surviving sister, Mary, for the past several months. Bennett said Mary had fears about her sister, not just that she thought she was crazy, but based on her antisocial behavior. Looking back, it seemed something had been in the air for some time. Quote, other neighbors described the couple as misfits. They avoided eye contact, rarely emerged from their house, and were indifferent to friendly overtures. Even the smallest trespasses, a car parked in their spot, or a neighbor's cat, or young kids in the yard, would enrage them. End quote. This bizarre and paranoid relationship continued until the night of December 24th, when it all came crashing down. For some reason, and I couldn't find anything definitive, but it would be 8 long years before their fate was sealed. I know the death penalty option added a year or 2 of complications to the process, but after that, I simply don't know why it dragged on so long. It wasn't until 2015 that a jury found Joe guilty and sentenced him to 6 life terms in prison. The following year, in 2016, Michelle was also found guilty on all 6 counts and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Both of them are, I believe, still currently housed in Washington State, at least as the articles I have referenced. According to the Seattle Times, after the sentencing, quote, Erica's mother, Pam Mantle, told Anderson, when you shot her, she called 911 not just to save herself, but to save her babies, because she knew you'd kill them too. Mantle said, I don't think you're big and tough, Michelle. I think you're a bully and a coward. I am brokenhearted. Every day I miss those 6 people. Michelle Anderson's older sister, Mary, who earlier testified that she also would have been killed if not for having been ill and skipped the Christmas Eve gathering, told her sister she will have plenty of time in prison to think about her crimes. Mary said, it kills me. I loved you so much. Just know that they loved you. End quote. And that, my friends, is the horrible, horrible story of the Christmas Eve Carnation family murders. Ain't nothing like a wee massacre to kick off the holiday season. No funny business here. I just hope it wasn't too dark. I still can't believe that those 2 sat after cleaning up bodies and blood, waiting patiently to murder an entire fucking family. On a brighter note, and before I go, I do have a few special shout outs to make today. First off, my friends from back in Minneapolis have been super supportive of this podcast since I told them, just as basically everybody that knows about it. They even had a little listening party last weekend, which was super sweet. So thank you, and I love you guys. Miss you. And finally, I'm really not trying to brag. I'm simply super excited to share a few new countries that have been listening in as well. Over the past week or so, I received my first listeners from Bermuda, Malta, Vietnam, Costa Rica, Turkey, the UAE, and a few more that I have yet to list. It may only be a single person from each place, but it is still so cool. I love it. I know the internet is an amazing thing and terrifying, but I still never expected anything this far reaching. So hello to all of you new listeners out there. It is truly, truly my pleasure to have you around. Well, that'll about do it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as you can. And I will see you next time. Okie dokie. Bye-bye. Love you. Surprise! I have a tasty little update to brighten your day, guys. You all remember that dipshit Derek Chauvin? According to NBC, quote, Derek Chauvin, or Chauvin, however you pronounce it, the former Minneapolis police officer convicted of George Floyd's murder, is expected to survive after he was stabbed in prison. The Minnesota, I can't even say my own freaking state. The Minnesota Attorney General's office said on Saturday, Chauvin was hospitalized Friday following an assault at a medium-security federal correctional institution at Tucson. A law enforcement source with knowledge of the incident said Derek was seriously injured in the assault. The Federal Bureau of Prisons said that the incident took place at about 12:30 p.m. and, quote, responding employees initiated life-saving measures for one incarcerated individual, end quote. Press secretary for the office of the Minnesota Attorney General said on Saturday, wow, that's a mouthful, quote, I can confirm that, as of last night, Chauvin is expected to survive, end quote. Further details were not released. Boo-hoo. I wonder if he had a hard time breathing with a frickin' knife in his lung. Karma's a real cunt, huh? Anywho, that did bring a smile to my face today. And if you're offended by my positive reaction to this killer getting got, then you can kindly fuck off. Alrighty then. Bye-bye for real, guys. Love you.